Well, I am so excited about just one being in this space with you, Dee, because just of our personal history and our friendship, and now seeing you on the board of Educating Mindfully and all the great work that you're doing at Michigan State, and particularly this topic that you're going to share with those attending live today and those that will watch on their own time on emotions are not us. Emotions are a guide to our higher self and purpose. So, Dee, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into the topic?
Yeah, absolutely. I can. My name is D Dubose, lowercase, all letters. I am an educator. I'm a community member and I'm a lifelong learner. Currently, I'm pursuing a PhD at Michigan State University, in education policy. And right now in the middle of it. And so preparing to do my own research next year, and I'm really excited about that. Prior to my time here in Lansing, Michigan, I served as a teacher, both in rural Alabama and in urban Texas. So I like to say I got the best of both worlds, teaching high school students in rural Alabama and middle school students in Houston, Texas. And so yeah, I am super excited to engage in this work. And Athea, if without that, I can go ahead and take it away if you would.
Sounds good to me. Yep.
All right.
It's all yours, Dee.
Okay, sweet. Well, welcome everyone to the final event for the 2024-2025 academic year, entitled "They Emotions Are Not Us, Emotions Are God to Our Higher Self and Purpose." Two disclaimers before we get started. The first is this presentation is intended for Black educators and folks who identify as racially minoritized. However, I think everyone can be able to engage in this conversation. So if you do not identify with that group, this is still a space for you, for your thoughts and your ideas. And I look forward to being able to share them as we go throughout the presentation. The second one is this is an appetizer, right? Like this is not in no way a dissertation defense. I am scratching the surface if, right? And so there may be a lot of questions, right? And I look forward to thinking about what does this look like for a series in our next academic year. So TBD, stay tuned for more. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. So here's a roadmap of where we're going. We'll kind of start with a mindfulness activity. I'll like pull the share screen away and we'll kind of engage in that. I'll ground us into the presentation using Kendrick Lamar's popular song, They Not Like Us. We'll talk about emotions. I'll kind of throw some intersections with emotions. We'll do some definition, some digging on that. We'll then look at the seat of the soul, Gary Zukov, his work, as it is kind of grounding and playing off of the song. And so it'll make sense as we go throughout that space. We'll kind of conclude with a mindfulness activity, just a quick activity, just to kind of think about how we engage with emotions, right, on our day-to-day, particularly as educators, as we're working with so many students from various backgrounds. And then we will close out. I'll have some final points, and then we will kind of share out. But again, this is meant to be like a fruitful discussion. So feel free to jump in and not over as we engage in this presentation. And so with that, we will go ahead and engage with the mindfulness activity. And like I said, I'll go ahead and pull my slide away so that we can do that. So give me 1 second to figure this out, and then we'll jump back in. All right. So as we prepare for our meditation, we perhaps will close our eyes or allow our eyes to go to a gazeless gaze. Maybe we settle our hands and our feet, bringing them close nearby, allowing ourselves to be present in this moment, knowing that whatever happened before the space is outside of where we are, and we are where we're supposed to be. We're going to start this meditation by taking 3 intentional breaths in and sighing them completely out, allowing us to release the things that we're carrying with us. I will signal and let you know when to breathe in and to breathe out. So we're going to go ahead and first go ahead and take a big breath in. Exhale, we're going to sigh it out of the mouth, releasing what doesn't serve us. We're going to do it again. Big inhale. This time we're going to sip in a little bit more air. Exhale, release. We're going to do it one more time. Big inhale. We're going to hold at the top because we're strong and we can. Exhale, release. Returning to our natural breath, allowing ourselves to be here in the present, in the now. As we return to our bodies, maybe we find some movement in our fingers. Perhaps we place our hand on our heart, realizing our physical being. We allow ourselves to return back to the space with our eyes opening up really slowly. We'll take one final big breath in. Exhale, sigh it out. Beautiful. Welcome back to the space. Okay, I needed that. So hopefully you found that useful as I found it. Okay, so we will return back to our presentation. I always feel super grounded after meditations. I'm really excited to be able to be a part of an organization that prioritizes that in our sessions. All right. So returning back to our presentation, in the summer of 2024, the world watched as two of the largest rap icons, Drake and Kendrick Lamar, engaged in a back and forth for the title of the greatest rapper in the present reality. Both rappers battled over weeks with the song that struck out at the personal and family connections, with the end being settled by Kendrick's Lamar's song, They Not Like Us. While the contest ended with Kendrick showcasing his lyrical expertise to diss Drake throughout this particular song, They Not Like Us became a worldwide song that premiered at the top of Billboard's charts and on many people's summer and fall playlists. Additionally, Lamar would go on to get invited to perform at the 2025 Super Bowl in New Orleans, Louisiana, and lead what I think was the most thought-provoking performance to millions across the nation and the world. Although many still continue to discuss the controversial song being played at the Super Bowl and on radio stations, Kendrick Lamar's artistic expression guides this conversation around the separateness of one's emotions. More importantly, Lamar gives us a space to think alongside the separations of emotions as a way to understand, interpret, and distinguish gifts from the spiritual world. Despite this, though, as educators of color, particularly Black educators and folks who identify as racially minoritized, it is important to consider the ways that history challenges this process. Specifically, as Sadia Hartman, a scholar in her own right, offers in the afterlife of slavery, the different challenges that comes with chattel slavery and other forms of violence. So like everything else, emotions can be used to take over our bodies instead of us looking to the world to allow them to support us. And so with this, They Not Like Us as a song and as a artistry creation provides us the foundation to be able to understand the separateness of emotions from ourselves. So let's go ahead and jump in. So emotions mean to move, and it comes from the French word and has multiple meanings. According to the Webster Dictionary, emotions is defined as an intuitive feeling about a given situation. And so while these definitions provide some inclinations of emotions for mankind to the way that emotions work, these definitions does not take into consideration the 400 plus years of anti-Black violence, including chattel slavery, sharecropping, Jim Crow, and post-racial anti-Blackness that Black folks and other folks who identify as racially minoritized are presented with in this reality. More importantly, many racialized folks continue to be unaware of what Joy DeGroot describes as post-traumatic slave syndrome, a phenomenon that is wrote about, it is talked about, theorized about in the literature. And like post PTSD, PTSS, or post-traumatic slave syndrome, describe the unique ways that violence forced many Black people to socialize and live in a fight, flight, or run mode. So yes, while these definitions like give us an insight to emotions and how they should be interpreted and used and analyzed, it is imperative for us to understand that many groups, particularly in this case, racialized, minoritized Black youth, navigate emotions based on past violent and their present realities. And so many may be wondering, wait, I thought emotions are normal and we all experience them, right? Well, kind of. I still remember not being allowed to fully express myself, being racialized and gendered in the rural South. For example, I was taught that reading, crying, dancing, and smiling were codes for other violence in the classroom. So while many folks enjoyed reading and left chilling or being cool, as I think about Gwendolyn Brooks, her famous poem, We're Real Cool. At the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, I witnessed many family and friends that did not know how to emotionally regulate themselves and would oftentimes lead with unconscious emotions, spilling poison out to whatever circumstance or event that was caused with. I vividly still remember the silent treatment that I received from my family when many were upset about a given situation. Yet I too remember being shut down when I lost my wallet, when I needed to purchase Christmas presents, or the time I was robbed at gunpoint from letting a visitor into my apartment building. So emotions are or the lack thereof always cause me to move differently, especially in a severe situation. So this conundrum, this paradox of the challenges of emotions by being racialized and by expressing too many emotions is the focal point of this conversation. And we will think about this with using some of the spiritual teachers like Gary Zukav and Eckhart Tolle to be able to guide our understanding about emotions, and how we perceive them and how we utilize them in the classroom as educators. So for an example, I think about anger often, right? When I experienced in the past, anger took control over my body. And so if I was upset, many times I would say things that I didn't mean, or I thought I didn't mean them. I would say things I didn't mean, or I would act not in the driver's seat, right? And so a common example I'm thinking about is road rage, right? Someone cuts you off on the freeway, and before you know it, you've called them this, you've called them that, or you've tried to cut them off, right? I think the anger has taken over, right? Um, but now I think about emotions as an experience of emotions. While I am still upset that this person cut me off, now sit in the power to decide and determine how might I engage in the emotion to not allow it to become a part of my personality or become a part of how I defend myself. And so that is what we are briefly going to talk about in the next few slides. And so while I would like to take credit for all of these thoughts and this understanding and this new awareness, unfortunately, I can't. This work, from what I have come into it, is guided from the work of Gary Zukav and his late beloved wife, Linda Francis, guide my understanding of emotions, in their work. Their book, The Seat of the Soul, a 300-page book, premieres the ways that one can become aligned through the soul, through intuition, through choice, through so many other things, and through emotional awareness. And so for the next 3 to 4 slides, we're going to spend just a tiny bit thinking about emotional awareness. But I would highly encourage folks to check out this book if you have not already, from your local library, and get it and read it and engage in it. In the book, he like offers different ways to connect with authentic power as a goal to emotional awareness, to again to be able to be in the seat of the experience and not allow the emotion to take over the wheel. Emotional awareness, in their definition, is the way to the higher self and the ability to choose how to engage in situations without allowing the situation to engage in you. So this is important, right? You know, I started off saying that this conversation was for folks, racialized, minoritized Black folks, and I think this is really important given much of what we see as educators, with different students, with different colleagues. This understanding is very important as we kind of think about, one, like having that grace, but also like having some awareness. So making sure that folks have access to this slide. So if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this in your own time, this is great because this is the work and this is how we engage in a more mindful way, to make sure that our students are equipped with, not only our students, our staff, and our teachers are equipped with the tools to thrive in this life. And so they define emotional awareness in 2 different ways, right? So we'll jump into this real quickly. The first is fear. And fear can be defined as anger, anxiety, worry, and or dread, just to name a few, right? So an example is, I am meeting with the principal and the principal is calling me into the office. And while I don't know what this meeting is for, I feel this level of anxiety, this level of worry, this level of anger. And so, but while I am experiencing this, I'm allowing it to take over. So it is driving my questions. It is driving my interaction. It is driving how I show up in the space, right? Those emotions may come up, which, right, they will come up to me anytime I've been called to the principal's office in the past, and it was quite a few. I cannot say that I've never been to the principal's office. These emotions have shown up. But I think one thing we should keep in mind is that while this is happening, we can engage in other techniques like breath, like meditation, like calmful walks in nature to allow ourselves to be present. They also engage in emotions of love, which could be trust, care, joy, affection, right? And so you take that same example of being called into the principal's office and engaging in that space with a sense of curiosity that, wow, like I don't know why I'm being called to the principal's office at this particular time, but I am eagerly excited about engaging in this conversation. Now, I will truly say that that may be very difficult, and may also take time because I am not there yet. But I think putting our energy there and perhaps allowing ourselves to be present in that energetic shift will allow us allow our soul an opportunity to actually fully be in that particular moment. And so we're quickly going to, think about I'm about to move on to our like a quick activity where we kind of think about a moment where fear took over just to kind of begin this process. Um, but I wanted you to kind of sit with these two different examples first so that you can see how Gary Zukav and Linda Francis are thinking about emotional awareness from being fear or love, right? And I would also encourage you that as you're going throughout this journey called life, for you to determine when you are about what is driving, is this fear or is this love? Right. And if it is fear, don't beat yourself up, right? Just journal, right? Process. Just go home and be like, oh, I noticed that I had these thoughts and I moved this way, right? And continue to do that over and over again, right? But I think, having the awareness of it for me at least, has given me the power back over my life to allow my emotion to be here and myself to be here. That while I am experiencing this thing, it is not determining how I'm responding in this particular moment. And so with that, we're going to do a quick think, pair, share. I know we only have one person, we have a few folks here. But so this may shift up a little bit, but we are going to engage in just a quick reflective um, experience. So when I say go, and I haven't said that in so long, so I'm super excited to say that. Wow, it's been a while. I want you to think of a moment. This could be in your personal and or professional life where fear and anger, anxiety, or worry forced a certain reaction, right? You don't have to give the reaction. You also don't have to go too deep into the story. But I want you to journal, like to reflect on this. How did this moment play out, right? It could be on the way to work. It could be in the school building. It could be working with teachers and or working with parents. I know, as educators, it could oftentimes be challenging as we're working with folks from, different backgrounds. And so, that could cause some type of fear to arise. And so I would love for folks to, spend about 3 minutes, right, thinking about the story. And, if folks want to share out, this is the perfect time for us to kind of get some voice in that. And then we will come back and we will close out. I will share some resources, and then we will engage in a conversation about any of what I said or any other thing. So let me be clear on my instructions. So when I say go, we're going to take 3 minutes. We're going to silently reflect on an experience where fear came up. Again, it could force any type of reaction. How did this moment play out? Again, this could be both personal and or professional. Okay. So 3 minutes. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. If you're watching this, I am still setting the timer for you as well. Just take 3 minutes to reflect on this experience and then we'll come back. We have less than a minute left, but if we need more time, that is fine too. Okay, that is 3 minutes. Do we need additional time? Okay, all right. All right. So I want you to hold that, right? Like hold that experience in your head. And as you're holding that experience in your head, remember that you also have this tool of journaling to be able to come back through as you're experiencing life, right? Just with time and just with, just with the space, so I won't allow folks to share out. But I do think engaging in some reflective experiences as you are taking this next step as educators is really important and really imperative to your overall understanding of um, emotional awareness, right? I know personally for me, it was doing this on a daily basis, thinking about all of the different experiences that would happen. And so I would encourage you as educators, I know there's a lot of things that must be, done before bed. But I would highly encourage you at least one moment during the week, maybe on Saturdays or Sundays, to really think about this experience. Because maybe it's fear today, but as you continue to do it, maybe you will see a shift, just maybe. Um, okay, so thank you for engaging in that activity. And I look forward to being in community with you all on the website, on the member site, as you continue to engage in this process. So as we bring it to a close, Kendrick, Lamar, and They Not Like Us remind us in verse 3 of the violent ways that Black Americans were brought to America, right? And while we should stay mindful of this as educators, district leaders, parents, and staff, it is also imperative to know that emotional expression or the lack thereof has remained a constant challenge for many communities, particularly thinking about the experiences of racialized minoritized folks. And so while we are learning to implement these different strategies offered by this dynamic organization in schools, I ask that we begin the hard work of emotional awareness as educators, as a space to gather data about a given situation without feeling the need to allow our bodies to lose control. And so thank you for this. And as I think about the name of this session, they being emotions are not us. They're meant to be experienced and processed and give us data about our current situations. And so as we engage in this work, this hard work of educating youth, I think it is a reminder that while Drake may not be like us, so neither are our emotions. And so thank you. So with that, I just have a few resources for folks thinking about emotional awareness. I won't go through all of them. I will also share the slides. They will be available. So feel free to engage in many of these mindfulness tools, these apps, and a plug for the Gary Zukav podcast. 10 out of 10, highly recommend, and I hope it is useful as it has been for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here's my social media. If you would like to stay in contact, I'm barely there, but I would love to stay in contact with you all. And this has been great.
Well, thank you, Dee, so much for being here and and for guiding us here today. Very grateful for just letting us continue to think, letting us continue to see how all of the different layers and all of our experiences are, and honoring the history and the perspective and just everything in general. So, definitely very grateful for all you do and your leadership in this work. And I'll pause the recording and then for us to engage in a conversation if that would be okay with our group here too. So thank you.